Football United TV and the Football Politics Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Football Politics Show. I am joined by two special guests today. Charlotte, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Lucy, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, not too bad. Not too bad for a Monday. As we said, it could be worse, couldn't it? Today, we're talking about something that really does matter, I think, and it should still be brought up in discussion because I think people don't realise how it affects women in football, the way they get treated by people, specifically males. Some would say, but we'll get onto that because it's not necessarily the case. Lucy, tell us about your organisation and what you do and what you research as well.
Yeah, so I'm one of the co-founders of a campaign called hergametoo. We set ourselves up in May of this year because we wanted to highlight sexism in football. So it's set up by my good friend Kaz, who had experienced a lot of sexist abuse online earlier this year after just tweeting about scoreline for a different team. It wasn't a bad tweet. It didn't have anything that was rude or offensive. It was just commenting on the scoreline and just having a bit of banter with her friends that supported that team. But the tweet got a lot of retweets and likes, and then it ended up with people saying sexist comments such as "get back to the kitchen," "what you know about football, you're a girl," and commenting about the way she looked. And it had a real detrimental impact on her and her mental health. She locked down her Twitter. She deleted the app off her phone. She couldn't sleep. And it really, really did affect her. And she even said to me, like, as it was during lockdown, we couldn't attend games in person. She said, I wouldn't have wanted to attend games for at least a couple of weeks because of it, which isn't okay. That's just not acceptable for someone who's watched football for years and years and years with her mum, home and away. I just felt it was completely unacceptable. And then in April time, she came to me and said, "Did you feel like there's a campaign out there for sexism?" And I said, no, I wasn't aware of one. So she said, why don't we do a video to just kind of talk about our experiences, just highlight what we've been through. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I could just vision this video, just kind of holding up these papers, which is what we did. And then we kind of thought about other girls that we wanted to be involved. And then Kaz went and spoke to them, asked if they wanted to be involved. They all said yes. So there was 12 girls originally. We got together in a Twitter group chat and just kind of discussed how we wanted to do the video, when we wanted to launch it. And yeah, so we obviously came up with the name hergametoo. Obviously decided to do it as a hashtag as well, create the social medias the night before. And then we launched it on FA Cup final day, obviously in May. And the response was absolutely huge. I mean, the initial video got 1 million views in 24 hours, which was beyond anything that we could have ever imagined. So we were shocked about the impact because we didn't know how it was going to go down. But yeah, it was real positive. And then we decided to do a survey and ask girls and women to take part in that. We had just under 400 responses, and over 90% of the women who took part in it had said they experienced some sort of sexism online, in person at a game or in the pub watching football, which is a real staggering, significant amount. And so then we were like, right, we need to take the next steps, which is we wanted to approach the football clubs in the Football League, non-league and grassroots, and just see if they wanted to partner with us. And the response from them have been amazing. So with all our Football League partnerships, we've got a reporting system in place so that female fans are able to report any instances that happen in the game, and also have a presence of hergametoo in the ground, whether it's on our logo, on the LED boards, an advertising board. So yeah, that's kind of a bit of a snapshot of what's gone on in the last kind of just over 6 months. But yeah, it's been it's been a bit of a whirlwind, but it's shown that actually we needed to do something because, you know, the problem is prevalent. Like we were talking before we came on, you know, even last night there was, you know, someone who was tweeting about how she feels like her knowledge of football is constantly being questioned because she's a girl, which is unfair because, you know, people should be allowed to discuss and debate, but not to the extent that you're saying to somebody that their opinion doesn't matter or their knowledge isn't good because they're a girl, which is completely unfair. And someone replied to say, oh, he thinks that girls should have permission or something to watch games, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I think the response to that reply on social media last night said it all, really, that, you know, sexism needs to be called out on social media. And I definitely noticed there is a difference, that it is being called out a bit more now.
It's really good work that you're doing, by the way. It's nice to see
you.
that people are taking it on as well and supporting it, because we need that. I think people sometimes might be too scared to come out and tell their experiences in you know, maybe getting some backlash from it from people on social media. Charlotte, tell us a little bit about what you do as well and your experiences with this situation.
Yeah, well, actually, Lucy and the girls, they was a massive thing for me and Isabel. We would have probably never started our podcast if it wasn't for these girls. And I've told her she was our first guest on our podcast, The Dale Way, because I'm a massive Rochdale fan. And I actually told Lucy this, but she's one of the reasons that me and Isabel thought, do you know what? It's the right time to do a female podcast. And especially because just recently, Rochdale have actually supported the campaign, haven't they?
Yeah, they partnered with us a couple of weeks ago, which was amazing to have their support. But yeah, that's the thing, and it's always nice to hear that, you know, I mean, that's the thing, I love, you know, listening to podcasts. I love, you know, hearing people's experiences. I always like to, you know, share them when I can. So when Charlotte and Isabel asked me to come on, I was obviously I was well happy to go on there. But when they said that, you know, they felt that we kind of inspired them to start up, that was a really nice moment for me and the other girls personally, because, you know, when we did this, we never thought that we would have like that sort of impact on people. But it's just nice, and that's the thing, they should be allowed to do a podcast. And, you know, there isn't, obviously Rochdale is not the biggest club in the world, but, you know, that's the thing. No, but I mean, on like social media, you know, you interact with different fans, and I think there's no reason why Charlotte and Isabel shouldn't have started up their podcast. And that's the thing, now they've started it, they'll get more confident and they'll be able to speak to more people. And it's not even just in our league, you can talk to people throughout the leagues, and that is where social media is a good thing, because, you know, you can get to know people. Like we and Charlotte have known each other for a number of years on social media without actually realizing, until we that was the first time we kind of spoke on on Zoom or whatever we use. But it was so surprising, and it's someone that you know you feel like you've known for ages, like, oh, they're watching football, you're watching football, your teams are in the same league, and we've never crossed paths until like doing this. So yeah, it's nice.
I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, that's good as well, Charlotte, isn't it? You know what I mean? The fact that Lucy helped you do something that you probably wanted to do for quite a while, and you probably felt like you wasn't able to, and then that gave you the confidence to take it on, right?
Yeah, honestly, it's like I've always had, like, my dream job was always to be like some sort of TV presenter on the radio, and it was always to do with sport. I always wanted to be interested in, and I've been a Rochdale fan since I was, well, all my life, but I've been going to games since I was like 5-6-year-old with my dad. And even though I've never been targeted at the club, honestly, I've never felt victimized. I've never felt like I can't support Rochdale, or they've never made me feel uncomfortable, any fans. It's always been on social media. So I just thought with hergametoo, I just thought it was just perfect. And obviously, like I said, especially with like Rochdale supporting the campaign, I just thought it'd be a perfect time, really, you know, to pretty much do it.
Do you think there's more that can be done as well? It's not the end of the line for the campaign. The fact that more people need to come out and do the same things as what you two are doing.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I feel like it's even just the beginning for us. We're only 6 months old. 6 months old. Obviously, we're not partnered. We haven't got all the clubs yet in the football league, and obviously that is kind of like a big aim for us. But it's also about educating and raising awareness. I mean, for me personally, I feel like there's also stuff you can do in schools, especially like those primary school age, and just kind of educating people. And it's not just then; it's also at the coaches or academies, and there's so many different areas you can branch this out to, because I think I think especially with social media as well, I think there's a lot that still needs to be done, and I feel for that is really, really important to keep doing this and actually try and, I know we know that we're not going to change everybody's minds, or and sexism isn't going to be eradicated overnight, but what we do want to do is challenge those attitudes and say, why is it that you feel that girls can't watch football or play football or contribute, whether it's on TV or radio? And that's the thing, we've had people that have said to us, when I was younger, like I didn't think, that was kind of like my attitude, but now I've got a daughter, like my opinion's completely changed. I love watching her play. Or dads of daughters who are coaching the team have got involved, and they send us messages like, oh, we really want to support, I really love watching my daughter play, I love coaching her, it's great to see what you're doing, like hopefully, like, and that's the thing, it's for me, it's also about next generation. I hope that we get to a stage where young boys and girls, men and women, can go to football together, whoever they support across the country, and enjoy it without the fear of any type of abuse.
Yeah, and I think people forget as well that women's football from back in the day, especially, was actually well received by people. I think actually the biggest capacity of a football game was a women's game, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think in the 50s, like when the war was on, there was no men playing because they were all at war, and the women's football really took off. But then the FA put a ban in place to say that women couldn't play football, and it was only overturned, I think it was a number of years ago. I think it was like in the 70s or something. And that's the thing. That's why that's in the game is far behind. That funding isn't there because they weren't allowed to play. There was a ban put in place, and that's not their fault. But I do think, especially over the last 5-10 years, even this year specifically, that the growth of the women's game is huge. I think having the game on BBC and Sky is a massive thing, just because it puts it on the mainstream media, on opportunities when there's international breaks. Teams playing at the home grounds. I know that Manchester United are playing against Everton end of, I think it's March next year, and that's being played at Old Trafford, and the tickets are ridiculously cheap, and I think that's really, really good because they can have a massive crowd in Super League. And the Euros as well has taken place, and I read just a couple of days ago that they've got over 280,000 people apply for tickets in the ballot, which is absolutely amazing. I think it's the highest ever, and I'm attending the opening game as well when England play. I think it's Austria in July next year at Old Trafford, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I've been kind of watching a couple of women's games, like my own team, Bristol Rovers. They've got a women's team. It's only come into fruition in the last couple of years. But I really, really enjoy when they're playing. The girls are 9 out of 9 in the league. And also a kind of like a personal tie is that this community trust who kind of set up the team, who were incredible supporting the campaign, actually donated the away shirt sponsor to us. Literally within a month of campaign, and we were completely shocked by that gesture. So for them to put us out there, they don't even play in the highest league, but still to that time, but no, we really want to support this. This is how we're going to do it. On the girls' side was amazing, and we managed to partner with Reading Women as well, playing the Super League. So yeah, I just feel like there's such an opportunity for obviously the women's game to develop, and there's no reason why. And I think people think that, with the campaign or with the women playing football, they're like, they're trying to take it over. And it's like, no, they just want to enjoy it without the comments. And that's the thing, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's so much talent out there. Like, you watch the women play, I watch them in the Olympics, and there's so many good young players. And I think especially next year, I think they really do deserve the support. And there's no reason why they can't go and win the Euros either.
Yeah, you know what, I agree. And women's football in the last few years has shot up, right up. especially with televised views, which is, I think, progress of a kind, right, Charlotte? We want to see people taking more interest and fairness to it as well, because it's. I mean, I think, you know what, going on that subject of, I think national teams. So I think the USA team, they give the same wages, don't they, as the male players, the male team, which I think is very good, right? That shows it is equal. Do you know what I mean? We're all doing the same thing. We're all on the same level. We're all in the same boat. So it has to be fair and square, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and actually we've I'm aware of a club in England actually. They're called, I think it's pronounced Lewis, and they actually play their men and women the exact same. They give them the same funding, the same resources. They both play at the same ground. They're the only team in the whole country, I think. Yeah, I don't know if in the whole world, but the only team in this country that do that. And the girls play in the women's championship, so the division below the Super League. And and when I heard about them, I was like, wow, so that's amazing. And I've spoken to one of the chairwomen, Karen. She's incredible, and the work that they're doing there to really kind of boost the game, especially the women's game, is really, really impressive.
It is, and it was nice to see as well. First ever time of a female referee for an international game, wasn't it? Was it the England game?
Yeah.
It was, right? Yeah. What did you make of that, Charlotte? Really nice to see, right?
It was just really refreshing to see, because obviously, like, this is what I mean, like, with the campaign and everything, and obviously the referee, obviously our podcast, it's just as if we're finally being accepted. I know we shouldn't. I know we should have already been accepted, but it just feels like we're finally getting, obviously, when people's opinions, it's like on everything, there's going to be some people who won't agree and stuff, but it just feels like finally there's more people speaking out, there's more people accepting it, even though, like I said, it shouldn't be the case, but yeah.
Yeah, shouldn't be, should it? Unfortunately. So, I mean, look, what is it then? Is it lack of education? Is it bitterness from people? The fact that they feel like you said, Lucy, they hug it like it's a man's sport and nobody else can take that away from them. I mean, what is it? Or is it something else that's happening in society that makes people say and do these things?
I do think it's like a lack of education, I think, and also like attitudes as well, because for a long time, we lived in a society where like men do this, women do that, that's it. And it's only really in the last kind of, well, probably like since like 70s, 80s, where that wasn't the norm, that the norms were being challenged, and it's about like breaking the glass ceiling, and it's actually pushing through and be like, no, like we can do this too. And I think some people are scared of change. I think some people, they have a perception that we are trying to take over, and it's never not the case. It's just literally about sharing the enjoyment and just not being subjected to comments. That we're not even asking for much. It's just about enjoyment and and the thing, it's just about being treated fairly. It's like, if or if, and last thing, it's not about saying not everyone has to watch women's football if they want to, and that's absolutely fine. There's not a problem with that. It's just about the comments to like be degrading or bring people down. That's what's not okay. So I think, yeah, that's where I find that the issue is if you don't want to watch women's football, that's fine, but don't make the comments that someone could read that could actually make them feel bad.
I guess they're just doing it like what I said, bitterness on purpose, just to get a rise.
Yeah, just to make them feel bad, and that's the thing. And I hate stereotyping, but I feel like, especially on social media, it seems to be the same kind of stereotypical middle-aged white men that seem to have these or they're like young teenagers who think it's just funny to just jump on the bandwagon. That seems to be the age group that I'm noticing on social media. And even when we launched the campaign, this always sticks in my head. The day after, someone actually replied to my tweet that I did quote in our video, saying how proud I was to be a part of the campaign, to say that we were creating a problem that didn't exist. Again, like kind of the stereotypical kind of person that I kind of described. Funnily enough, it was actually a media officer for a non-league club. and I won't say which club that it was because it was lower down, but still enough to I knew the name. So I quoted the tweet and actually said, "It's funny that you say that." I said, "Oh, it's interesting to see that this guy says that sexism doesn't exist, or we're creating a problem that doesn't happen." And then the replies were like from guys and girls saying like, "What is he saying?" Like, you could clearly see from the video, the messages we received on the first day, and now 6 months on, you're still getting the reports, you're still seeing it on social media. That is a problem, and it does exist. But yeah, that's the thing. But then when I saw that tweet at the time, sometimes some days it can affect you more than others. When I saw that one, I just laughed because we've done the video, we've put the campaign out there, and yes, it isn't easy to stick your head above the parapet. And I commend all the girls who took part in it, and obviously including Kaz, because there are times where people are still subjected to it, and it's not okay. And sometimes it's just for having an opinion, and people want to bring other people down, which isn't right. And that's the thing. It's kind of understanding that you're never going to get. We can all disagree on opinions. So I might say, I don't know, that I feel Chelsea are going to win the Premier League, for example, and then someone might say, "Oh, I think Man City will win it," and then that's all right. And you'd be like, "Oh, why do you think that?" And you can have a healthy debate. But if I said that and then someone said to me, "Oh, you're wrong because you're a girl," that's not acceptable. And that's the thing. I think that's what people need to realise.
Yeah, I do. Would you agree with that as well, Charlotte?
Yeah, I always say it's good to have a difference of opinions. It's good to have a debate, but you don't have to abuse someone or bash someone. And it's like yesterday, at noon yesterday, me and Isabel put our podcast out, our first episode, and there were so many supportive people, but there were some people, and I'm not going to name what clubs they were from, but some of the higher Premier League, some of the Scottish League, and they just thought it was funny to like kind of bash us for it. And like I mentioned before, they mentioned to get back to hoovering up, to get back to washing the pots. And I just think, really, it's just so annoying. You try and do something to like, obviously, to help. It's like to help the club as well, because me and Isabel also want to help people like female Rochdale fans like feel like they can have a voice as well. And it's not just for our club being Rochdale and stuff, but other fans, other little girls, because like I said, I've been watching them a long time, and fortunately I've never had that problem from like the club itself or at any games. It's always been on social media. So I just want to be able to like all the little girls and all the like women to think, do you know what? They've inspired me or they've helped me. I am going to say my opinion, because no opinion's wrong. No opinion's wrong. Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And look, do you think, looking at the youth as well, is it going to be better for them in the future? Do you think the way we're going is progressing to that, or do you think they've got to worry about the same situations as you both do?
I mean, I hope not. And I think having our campaign out there, I hope will kind of make it better for the next generation, which is something that's like really keen for us, is obviously, creating a safe space at football, so that, hopefully in 10 years' time, we won't need a reporting system, because everyone will be able to enjoy the games together, and it won't happen. And the minority that do say the comments either won't say it to somebody, or just won't just keep quiet. That's all you need. But yeah, I do feel like it's going to take time to get there. I do think social media is for me, social media is kind of like a bit of balance. There's sometimes it's really, really good, for like chatting to other football fans. If we're playing each other, we can be like, oh, like who's good on your team, who's not, like, and just kind of get to grips with who you're going to play against, things like that. But then obviously, there is kind of like a dark side to it, and I think the last year, I think lockdown was a big impact, and I think that's what it was everyone was watching the games at home on TV, and then after the game, their output was just grab your phone and tweet about it. And that's where I think the problem's really ignited. But I also think with that, the social media platforms also have a responsibility to play, which I think perhaps they need to be stronger on in terms of actually when these tweets, and it's not just sexism, it's racism and homophobia as well. When those tweets happen, it's it's actually being like, this needs to be like taken down immediately. Like, people shouldn't be able to see it. Their accounts need to be shut down, and it takes a very long time. It seems to someone could tweet something that's racist or sexist or homophobic, and the account isn't taken down, or it's locked for a little bit, and then they come back and they say things. I think the summer with the Euros and the final and what happened to Saka, Sancho and Rashford is a huge example of that. We all know what happened, and it was I think it was quite sad that when we lost and those 3 penalties were missed by those 3 players, I felt, and I think a number of people felt, what's going to happen. You knew exactly what. And I find that sad. It's 2021, and I don't think, they felt awful anyway. We all felt awful. We were gutted we didn't win, but to actually then go and say those things, just thought it was absolutely disgusting, and it's just abhorrent.
Yeah, that's the problem with our society, isn't it? I mean, I believe after that game as well, but people, I think Italian fans were being chased and stuff like that. So it's just the way people deal with losing a football game is crazy to me. Like, literally, once the game's finished, 90 minutes is over, it's done. Like, get on with your life. Don't take your anger out on other people and cause mischief, right, Charlotte?
Yeah, it's like today, actually. This is quite convenient because one of our players, Abraham Ado, he's actually on Instagram. He's just been targeted and he's been called a really racist name. And fortunately, he's had the support of so many people, but that still doesn't put it right. And it's like Instagram, he put a post on just like asking people to report it. And Instagram just kept taking it down. And I just think these social media sites, they really need to be on top of it. And even maybe like giving some identification when you make accounts or something now, just because it can be such a toxic place. It really can.
Yeah, they need to do that, don't they, Lucy? I mean, at least sign up so they can know who you are. If you're going to be saying stuff to other people, then surely you should be a bit more upfront with who you are when you're saying these sorts of things.
Yeah, I definitely think there needs to be like accountability. Like, what you put on social media is almost there for life. And if you're saying these things, then you need to be punished. But and it's I find it weird because looking back, I actually joined Twitter when I was about 14, which now think about it is really young. I didn't join it at the time for a football aspect. This is quite sad to admit, I actually joined it because I was a massive One Direction fan and I wanted to get to know the
coming out now.
Embarrassing to admit, absolutely embarrassing to admit. And it was really when I got to about 15, 16 that it kind of became more of a football kind of place for me. And even then, I was like, that's really, really young. Even thinking about it now, I mean, I'm 25 now. So thinking back, I thought, God, like that is really young to have social media. And I think nowadays, because like growing up for me, I didn't really have you don't have phones till like 11, kind of 12, going to secondary school. Nowadays, I feel like people's access to social media is really at a young age. And there's, like, I don't particularly use it, but things like TikTok, or Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and whatever kind of platform you choose to use, I feel like it's been accessed by like the real young, like 7, 8-year-olds. And I'm like, obviously not Twitter to extent, but other kind of social media platforms. And I'm like, that's quite scary. If you're that young and you're using social media, you don't know what you're saying. Well, you don't really know what you're saying, and you can get yourself in serious trouble if you say those things or you think it's acceptable to say those things.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's difficult, and I think you don't see enough of it on these big channels like Sky and BT. I mean, they're doing the racism thing quite well, but you don't see anything about women's rights in football either. You don't see any of that. I'd like to see your emblem on there somewhere.
That would be quite amazing, to be honest. Like to have, because when actually, funny enough, when they had the women's football weekend last weekend, and obviously it's on Sky and BBC, and Sky did something about I can't remember what their slogan is, something about ending discrimination. And then actually we had a couple of people tag in our account, which was kind of nice to see, in the sense of they actually felt like we should be included. And obviously I know BT have got Hope United as well, which I know was kind of big, which is obviously really, really important. And I know BBC and Sky have got, I think it's called Hate Won't Win, which is all, you know, these things are important. They are out there, but it's almost like tying it all in together and just, you know, actually all kind of standing up together and saying, no, this isn't okay. And that's the thing, you find it where I can't remember, that was it. So Sky posted a tweet about the Football Supporters Association survey results about sexism, and they when they tweeted it, they turned off the replies. And I thought the fact that they turned off the replies means they know what they're going to get, and I just found that so sad, especially when it was highlighting that there is sexism still in football, and it was kind of interesting, like seeing kind of the results from that. But yeah, again, it's another thing where you know they've got like campaigns out there to, you know, say that it's not okay, and then you still kind of not blocking people from applying, but the reason they have to block people from applying is because they know what they're going to get, and that I just find that really sad.
It is sad, isn't it? Unfortunately, because you want to be able to put it up in confidence that anything that does come on there, like any sort of abuse, it will just be denounced by everybody that supports it, right, Charlotte? Would you agree with that? That's really what should be happening in society today. We should,
it really should. It's just frustrating because it's as if you're trying to get your point out there and you are trying to make a difference, but at the same time you're getting the backlash as well, and it's just frustrating. It really is. And
I think they've taken down the dislike now on YouTube. I think they're looking at doing that anyway.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Which I think's good, because if you don't like the video, just don't like it. You don't have to show someone I don't like it. Like what is that going to get you? Like
I always say that on Twitter as well, because it's as if people have to say their opinion, their negative opinion, instead of just even muting the person, scrolling past it, or just blocking them if they get on your nerves, instead of like wasting your time bashing someone, because as I say, you don't even know what that person's going through, and one negative comment could stem them to, like, you've no idea what this person's going through. And I just think people have got to be a little bit more considerate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I completely agree. So you've never seen anything in the physical, like when you've gone to a game or anyone, you've seen anybody be treated disrespectfully by someone? Or
me personally, being a Rochdale fan, I obviously can't speak on behalf of everyone, like female at the club, but me and Isabel personally have never received any abuse from at games, in the pubs, by fellow fans or away fans, which is good. It's always been, for me personally, through social media.
Yeah. What about you, Lucy? Is that the same? Or
I mean, I've had, so it was actually in August, like me and Kaz had a comment walking out of the game. We were away to somewhere, and a guy shouted, "Oh, like Bristol, you're crap," or worse to that extent. And we were like, "Oh, we know," because we drawn one all, and we had a man advantage, so we weren't even offended. It didn't even bother us. and then he shouted, and then we turned away, walked across the road, and then he shouted, "Oh, but your birds are fit though." And I just thought, there's no need. We were there, and I said, and there was a group of us. There were 4 of us going. So it's me and Kaz, and then 2 of our guy mates. And they had gone on ahead of us or something for some reason. We couldn't find them, so we kind of left the ground together. And I said, I guarantee if those 2 were with us, they wouldn't have said it, because there would have been like 2 guys and 2 girls. It would have just been like a group of mates walking to football or walking from a game together. But it's also, I find it's in like bar queues as well. So in our ground, it can get quite tight, or like away games, and you're all kind of queuing for the bar, and it's when like people touch you like inappropriately, then I find really, really uncomfortable. And I just think, what are you doing? And I would also say in the last few months, personally, not to me, but we have a physio, a female physio at Rovers this season, and I probably count. It feels like, if she comes on and she's near our bit where I stand, I guarantee there's going to be a comment, someone saying something to her. And it really it makes me feel like, it makes my stomach turn, because I'm like, she's just doing her job. She's our physio. and I said, and there must be times when she's in the earshot of it as well. And my heart just sinks for her because I'm like, she's not doing anything wrong. She's tending to a player who's obviously injured, needs support, needs help, and they're getting these comments, and I'm just, and that does annoy me as well because I'm like, there's so many physios out there, so many incredible female physios, and they're just doing their job. And it's not just in the Football League, there's non-league as well. I know so many girls that have kind of had to work their way up and gone through non-league all the way to the Football League and other things. And they go to uni like everyone else. But if that was, we've had male physios for years, no one would ever say a comment like that to one of them. Not a chance.
No, it's difficult, isn't it? Because like you said, you're going there, you're hearing it, you're campaigning what you're campaigning for, and you're hearing this still going on in the crowds, and they're probably the home supporters, right? The people that
it's I've heard it from my own home supporters. This season.
It's strange, right, Charlotte? I mean, what on earth for people?
I just don't get it. Because you wouldn't do it if you went in the supermarket. You wouldn't do it to a woman like cashier or anything. If you went to the bank or something, you wouldn't do it to the person there. So why do it at a football game?
Yeah, exactly. It just makes no sense to me. It's like, imagine if, say, for example, I don't know, so you had like a hairdresser or something, and that's people would say, oh, stereotypically female, and it's a man. And imagine if someone said to that guy, oh, you shouldn't be hairdressing because you're a guy. You just wouldn't even dare say it. You'd be like, you'd probably be like, I wouldn't be blaming the hairdresser if they gave you a bad cut after that or threw you out the shop. It's just ridiculous. You just wouldn't say it. The thought wouldn't even cross my mind. So why people are saying it to the physio, and I actually happened a few weeks ago, and I did call it out because I felt so angry in that moment because I'm like, I'm sick of hearing it, and that thing is like I said, she's just doing a job, like any of us. She's just doing a job.
Why should she be made to feel uncomfortable for doing a job?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how she feels. But like for me personally, that's how it makes me feel.
Yeah, of course.
For her, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, of course, it matters how she feels. But even if she says to everybody, "Look, it's okay. I take it on my stride." If other people can hear it and they're female as well, and they're thinking, "God, if that was me, like I'd be crying.
I'd be so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable."
So I guess the club must know and hear it themselves. They must sort of comfort her a little bit, or
I mean, I don't know too much about what the club's kind of said to her, but for my kind of personal kind of opinion, I would like more to be done, but not just because it's not every club that has a female physio, but there are a number now that do in the Football League, and I just kind of wish they would come out and say, no, all discrimination isn't okay, whether it's to a fan, a female official, a female physio, whoever it is. It could be even like not that I would be in there personally, like say in the boardroom. If there's say a female board member attending the game, and I was speaking to someone today, and she said, oh, she's had comments from, she's gone to clubs and be like, oh, what are you doing here? Like, oh, are you the wife of somebody? And she's like, no, I'm on the board. And it's things like that, or like I've got another friend who she's an intermediary agent. Sorry, I can't get that word right. She's like an agent for female players, and she's had times where people said to her, oh, like what are you doing here? Are you like a mum or something? Like, and she has got a daughter, a daughter and a son who both play football. But she's like, oh no, I'm working. I'm watching one of my players, and it seems like that. It's kind of like the preconceived ideas that like this person actually does this job. So I think it's just, again, it all seems to come back to education.
Yeah. Where do we go from that though? How do we educate from the youth up, or is it trying to sort out these old people that don't seem to get in with the 2021 crowd, or what is it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of kind of different strands. I definitely think you need to go into schools, because I think if you get into the schools, then you're kind of changing the attitudes going up. I do think there needs to be education like in the actual clubs themselves. And that's the thing. It was also recognizing what people might not realize is classed as sexism, or or they might be like, like the song or something that been sung for years. Like actually, like when you think about it, it's like, oh gosh, it's like that's not really an appropriate song to be singing, especially if you've got like your daughter next to you, your wife or sister, whoever. So yeah, I think and there's also like obviously the fans and just kind of making people aware that it isn't okay, and it shouldn't be tolerated, but it also should be called out and stamped out like any other form of discrimination. So I definitely feel like education is super, super important, and there's lots of different avenues to go down. I feel like I rambled a little bit there.
No, you're good. It's good to hear from that, Lucy. I mean, what do you think as well, Charlotte, from your perspective as well, seeing you started off a new channel?
Yeah, obviously through the skills and everything need to be educated, but it's like for me personally that the people who have targeted me the most have been people older than me in like the 40s, 50s, 60s, and I just think we've got absolutely no chance if like those people aren't willing to like change and they're just being ignorant. Then what of our kids and like grandkids and so on, like what do they do? Do you know what I mean? It's frustrating.
It is, but I think what you two are doing is great. And I've not actually. You said these names of people that work with Sky Sports and BT. I'd never heard of them. So hergametoo for me is actually the first one. I think that's to do with it not being pushed out a lot, and I think it needs to be not just. I mean, obviously not just yours. You're doing a terrific job, but I think bigger companies, sponsors, and all that need to get involved and push the word out, because like you've just both spoken about, it's very important and it still lives today.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Obviously we're really keen to spread the message as far as we can. Obviously, like a personal aim is to get a Premier League club involved and actually properly partner with us. And I think that will put it on a bigger stage because the Premier League is watched around the world. There's fans from so many different countries, and that's the thing. Our campaign has reached different countries. There's people that there was a girl from Japan, for example, who did I think it was like a uni project on it, and to see our logo over there, and obviously I couldn't understand what she was talking about, but she was inspired by the campaign, and I was just like, oh, that's amazing. And it sparks those conversations, and that's the thing. I think it could be, people say potential to be a global thing, and that's the thing, because football is a universal sport with universal rules, and anybody from any walk of life, whether you are the poorest person in the world or the richest person in the world, anybody can enjoy it if they want to, because I know my family, like my little sister doesn't like football, but that's okay because she's never liked it. It's not her thing, and that's fine. She might get annoyed at me because I kind of have the TV all the time to watch the sport, but that's good. Like that's good because we're not the same. But she would never say like, "Oh, why are you doing that?" Because she loves her dancing, and I used to do it too. So we've got our differences there. But yeah, I think, like I said, everyone should be allowed to enjoy it. No one should be saying to people these comments. It's not, like we said, it is not acceptable. But I hope that in time, I do feel like you're not, like we said, no, you're not going to get everybody. Not everyone's going to change their mind. But I hope that we get to a stage where it's the norm that, even if there's potentially like an increase in female spectators at games, because that's only a good thing for these clubs, because if you've got more, say, an increase, say a 5% or 10% of season ticket holders or attendees, think how much money these clubs are going to make and how much revenue they're going to make, and that's going to make them look good. Yeah. And there's people along, like for example this weekend, Torquay United, so one of our newest partners, are giving away 1,000 tickets to women and girls in the local Torquay area. So they can watch their game against Halifax Town, because they do community days, and that was how they wanted to celebrate the partnership with us. And I love that idea, because I think there could be young girls there that might be their first ever game, and to know that they're going to go to a place, have the safe space in the ground with lots of other young girls and mums, daughters, sisters, aunties, whoever's going together in the stand, And I just think that's wonderful. I just think that's so lovely.
It's nice to see. It's progress of a kind. Hopefully they can keep that up as well, and more clubs join in the campaign. I think it's very, very, very important. We're going to wrap it up now because I think this has been terrific. We've got a lot of things out off of our chests. Let me just read out a few comments here. We got good comments, by the way. No bad comments from anyone. Thank the Lord, because you know what people like, as we've been saying. Big up all from Fox's Focus. Bloody disgusting. Why can't people, no matter their gender, be able to enjoy the sport apart we all love?
I think they might say sport.
That's what I thought. Then I got tongue-tied myself. Didn't do myself any favors. We all love without fear of getting abuse of any kind. Oh, there we go. Look, yeah, sport, not apart. Evening, Matt, Lucy, and Charlotte from One Rovers Vlogs. Thank you so much for tuning in. Noel Kane, evening. And Bargav, hello. So just to end up then, if any women are watching right now, what would you say to them if they had concerns with like problems on social media or just going to games? What would your message be?
So I would say if it's on social media, just highlight it to people, get it reported, because that's, obviously the moment that is the only way that we can do it. And also there are a lot of people now, I would say, in the last few months that are being allies and standing up for you, which is really, really important. If it's at a game, if it's a club that partner with us, they should have posters up at the ground with a reporting number, because we've got a reporting system in place. If not, we have a reporting system on our website. Our website is hergametoo.co.uk. Got to get that right, because cats will get mad at me. And we've got a reporting system so fans can report it that way. I would definitely, my thing would be keep talking about football on social media, keep going to games, keep enjoying it, just keep spreading your message, and keep, if you're a content creator, whether you just want to tweet about your game, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it, because I know for me personally, I love seeing it. I do really love seeing it, and there is a good community out there which you can reach, and we should all be there to look after each other and call out any abuse of any kind. So yeah, that's my pearls of wisdom, you could say.
Very well said. You, Charlotte?
Just don't let anybody's opinion or bad comments, negative comments stop you from what you want to do, because it's like with me, obviously, if the negative comments, I've had so many in the past, and as much as I am sensitive, sometimes it does get to me. But if I took them on board, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. And if I can inspire somebody to go and watch a football game, or a little girl to go to a first game with a mum or dad, or even like watch it on TV, or even other fellow female fans to start a podcast, then I've done my bit. Do you know what I mean? And I wouldn't have done it, and I know I keep saying it, without Lucy and all the girls. So thank you.
No, thank you, honestly.
So we'll shout out your social media platforms to let everyone know where they can find you. Let's start off with you then, Charlotte, with your channel, which is amazing, by the way, on Spotify, right? Podcast.
Yeah, it's called The Dale Way, and we're on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, and we're also on Twitter and Facebook as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on, Charlotte.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And Lucy, where can we find you and hergametoo? Of course, we need to know where that.
So hergametoo is on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at hergametoo, and then our hashtag is hergametoo as well. Obviously, we've got an email which is hergametoo@hotmail.com, and then a website as well, which is hergametoo.co.uk. Obviously, we've got like the reporting system, but we've also got our merchandise, and all the funds from that go towards help funding or helping grassroots clubs like the hoodie I've got on now through Hope and Glory. So obviously if you want to support that way, then any support. And like you said, we all love seeing dads sharing pictures of their daughters at games or playing. So just keep staying and keep supporting, and just thank you for everyone that supported us this far, and this is only just the beginning for us. So keep watching.
Thank you for coming on, Lucy.
Thank
And
you.
I'd love one of those hoodies as well. I might be in touch with you about that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll make sure to send you the link.
Cool, brilliant. Everybody, it's Football United TV. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and here on YouTube. Smash subscribe, share, and like if you can. Please go and check out their content, please. It really is important, and make sure you take it with open arms as well. No abuse, please, from anybody. Just keep an open mind, and look, I think my message is people, no matter their sex, color, creed, or culture or ethnicity, we should all be able to do whatever we want, providing it doesn't disrupt other people's lives. If you want to do something that you can kick around, play a ball, why should anyone give anyone abuse for that? So yeah, it'd be nice to see the world change, and hopefully quickly, because if it's still going on right now, it's not cool. But I'm so glad to have you both on to talk about your experiences and what you're pushing out. I think it's amazing. We're wrapping up there, so everybody enjoy the rest of your week. We're back again Wednesday for the Champions League show, and United Across the Globe on Thursday, Gunners from All Corners on Friday, and then the Premier League weekend show on Sunday. So keep your eyes peeled. See you later, everyone. Bye-bye.